How's it, everyone? Welcome to another court checklist right here on OpenCourt. So today's topic of the checklist is string gauge. So what is string gauge? That's basically the thickness of the string. Very simple. What's not so simple is that on the package, sometimes you can read gauges with two numbers. So one number you might see would be like 125 mm. That's the diameter of the cross section of the string. The second number, you might see something like 16 or 17 or 16L or 15 or 18. That is just a classification of the thickness. The number you really want to look at is the millimeter, because that one will be accurate all the time. If something says 130 millimeter, 125 millimeter, you know exactly how thick it is. The different string manufacturers have different classifications. So one company might say a 125 millimeter is a 16L. And another company might say a 125 millimeter is a 17. So if you look at the millimeter, that'll tell you exactly how thick a string is. But for the purposes of gauge, the higher the number you go, the thinner it gets. The lower the number you go, the thicker it gets. So how does string gauge or thickness affect the playability of the string? Well, I'm about to tell you right now. So let's start with thick strings. Obviously, the thicker the string, it's going to be more durable. It's going to be able to take more wear, and it's going to take longer to break. There's also more material for it to stretch out, so it'll hold tension a little bit better than a thinner string. Thicker strings also tend to have more control. It's better for those big hitters who really take those full aggressive swings, because thicker strings have less power. Also, they don't move as much, so they have less spin. So it's really more for advanced players who can provide their own power. And lastly, thicker strings will be more stiff. They're going to give you more shock, and they're going to be a little bit more harsh on your arm. So that's something you should think about if you're thinking about getting a thicker gauge. So as you might imagine, thinner strings are the exact opposite. They're going to have a little bit more power and spin, because the pattern is going to be a little bit more open. The strings are going to move more. They're also going to have more pocketing or dwell time, so it's going to launch better, more power and spin. It's also going to have a little bit more feel. You're going to be able to hit those finesse shots like drop shots, slices, angles, those kinds of shots a little bit better with a thinner string. Thicker strings are going to play a little bit more dead, and thinner strings are going to give you a little bit more feel and play a little bit more lively. So obviously with thinner strings, it's going to stretch a little bit faster because there's less material, so it's going to lose tension faster, and also it's going to break faster. So whether or not you should choose a thicker or a thinner string is really just up to your personal preference. If you guys take big swings from the baseline and you guys want more control, then you might want to consider a thicker string. If you're breaking strings often and you don't have arm issues, consider a thinner string. If you guys want a little bit more help with power and spin, or you guys play more doubles, you rely on slices, drop shots, angle volleys, things like that, and you want more feel, I would recommend a thinner string. If you guys don't break strings often and you guys want to protect your arm, thinner strings are better for you. So it's really up to your play style or preference. So think about what kind of player you are and choose the right thickness for your game. I hope today's court checklist was helpful to you guys. If you guys like this content, be sure to overhead smash that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on an open court.